All right, let's talk Ahsoka episode 4. Welcome back to the channel. This is Will with Padawan Pops, and man, was that a great episode. This is going to be spoiler heavy, so if you haven't seen Ahsoka episode 4, pause this, bookmark it, whatever, go watch Ahsoka episode 4, then come back and listen. Again, there's a lot to cover. There's a lot of really good stuff at the end. I've got notes on what I thought about it. I'm just going to work chronologically through the episode very briefly, and then we'll talk a little bit about the end and where I think that this is going from here. So to start off, we get an immediate theme to the episode. If the good guys cannot make it to Thrawn, if it's not Ahsoka and Sabine, nobody can. And that means potentially sacrificing Ezra. So we already see a conflict point for Sabine, but we see Ahsoka's resolve and knowing that the greater good is better than these connections. And that's very Jedi-like of Ahsoka, seeing her come into her own. But again, what's Sabine gonna do? That's kind of where we're left at the beginning of this episode. But of course, we jump right into the action. We see Huyang getting attacked by those HK assassin droids, and we actually see him holding his own for a little bit. It was cool seeing Huyang fight. I think just most of his scenes, he's stealing the show. I love watching him. David Tennant voicing him. He's a great character. I'm really excited to see him throughout this season and hopefully even more. He's a great character, everyone's new favorite droid. But Huyang holds his own a little bit, but there are a lot of droids. So Ahsoka and Sabine, they come out. They make quick work of these droids, but are quickly approached by Shin and Marok. Now, if you didn't catch my prediction video, I actually did okay for this episode. I missed some things, but I did guess that Marok would not make it through, that Ahsoka would defeat him and then go fight Baylan. That's exactly what happened. The trailers, though, did give a little bit too much away on that, in my opinion, but nothing that ruined the episode or anything like that. So Ahsoka fights Marok, a little bit anticlimactic. There's going to be some people that are probably upset about it because there was a lot of people who had a lot of hope that Marok was going to be somebody. And it turned out it was very much like Tales of the Jedi in that last episode. He gets slashed by Ahsoka and explodes into a big puff of smoke or gas or whatever. And that's the last we see of Marok. But I would be willing to bet, and you can leave this in the comments because I'm interested to hear about this. As you go through the episode, by the time you got to the end of it, did you even remember that Marok existed? I had completely forgot he was even a thing until I came back and read my notes, just because this episode ends very, it's incredible. Let me know if you remembered that Marok was even a thing by the end of this episode. Anyway, she makes quick work of him, goes to find Baylan to get rid of the little star map, and Sabine is actually holding her own with Shin, which I predicted as well. So she is fighting Shin, and she has a good, mix between her lightsaber, she's in her blaster. She's very much so fighting like a Mandalorian in this episode, which I thought was super awesome because, as I've said over the last few weeks, she's not very force sensitive. It's going to be a chore for her to get there. But maybe if she combines how great of a fighter she already is with what Ahsoka's teaching her, it's going to turn out well for her. And that's what happened today. She did very well in her fight with Shin. I don't know if I would say she won it, but she certainly didn't lose it either. Maybe a draw. They both lived, so I think a tie is still an upgrade over getting stabbed in your last encounter. So Sabine does come out of this fight pretty well. Ahsoka, at this time, is fighting Baylan. So she's fighting him. Baylan's just a very conflicted guy. I think he's a super interesting character. Obviously a bad guy, but still kind of a principled bad guy. You don't see a lot of bad guys like him with his aspirations. He wants control and everything. But at the same time, he just doesn't seem super evil. I don't know if y'all catch those vibes from him or not, but that's kind of how I feel about it. He's bad, but he's not like too bad, I guess. Interesting to see kind of how he carried himself in this episode. Their lightsaber duel was awesome. It was almost a mixture, more so original trilogy lightsaber fighting, maybe mixed with a little bit of prequels. It starts off slow, but then by the end of it, Ahsoka's jumping off columns and there's a lot of excitement. I thought that was a very awesome lightsaber battle, and of course it's combined with the new lightsabers that they used since they were filming the sequel trilogy up to now, where they just look really good on screen. And then it comes to a head with Shin showing up. Ahsoka thinks that she has killed Sabine, so she slams Shin into the column, which makes Baylan super mad. Then Sabine shows up, and she's got the star map that Ahsoka has taken. It burned Ahsoka's hand, so they stopped the hyperspace map from loading. And then Sabine has it, and the thing is she going to shoot it or not? Ahsoka tells her to. Baylan knocks her off the ledge into the water, and then that's where I kind of start to have an issue with how Sabine's carrying herself. So this map is going to stop anyone from getting to Thrawn, theoretically. And Sabine just needs to shoot it. That's kind of what they talked about at the beginning of the episode. But somehow Baylan just persuades her into handing it over to him, and he's going to take her to Ezra. They only had 40 minutes. I get that, but I think she was persuaded a little too easy. My wife and I were sitting there watching it. She has just finished watching Rebels this month leading up to Ahsoka, and she said Sabine was like pretty smart in Rebels, and that seemed like a pretty dumb thing for her to do, given how her character has been fairly shrewd and having a little bit of common sense throughout Rebels. I think part of that is correct. I do think she's pretty headstrong and stubborn at the same time, but it just seemed like she gave into that way too easy to me. I don't know what you think. Drop that in the comments, what you thought about that. But I understand what they're doing. They had to have the bad guys make the jump, so then the good guys will have some form of trouble to overcome. So that's what we get. The bad guys get the map. They take Sabine hostage. They go up to the little hyperspace ring. They shoot over to where Thrawn is, presumably. Now, the little bit of side action or side plot that we had, I'd predicted this as well. We are going to have a little bit of New Republic drama, and it really was just a little bit. Hera is there. She has Jason with her, and she's defying orders. She gets in the Ghost, takes a few guys with her, and they go to find where Ahsoka and Sabine are. Now, they get there, right as the bad guys are jumping into hyperspace, so that causes some issues, takes a few X-Wings out, and then we see Jason saying he has a bad feeling about this. Jason is Force sensitive. Like, not that it's a shock that he's Force sensitive, but it's super cool that we kind of get a confirmation there with him saying, I've got a bad feeling about this. That feeling I'm pretty sure they're getting at is he senses something bad in the Force, and I think Rebels fans just enjoy to see that Kanan's son is Force sensitive. I know I enjoy it. I'm sure you do too. And then we get the end of the episode. I think that was probably one of the greatest endings to a Star Wars episode we've seen since Luke comes back in the finale of The Mandalorian Season 2. We see Ahsoka, she's plunged into this water from where Baylan knocked her off the ledge, and she wakes up in the world between worlds. We don't know how she gets there, but man, we were excited to see it. And so she's in the world between worlds, and we hear a voice talking. It's Anakin's voice. He says, "I didn't expect to see you so soon." She turns around, and there he is, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker in the world between worlds, de-aged to look like he did in Episode 3. And man, what an ending. We are left with the cliffhanger of Ahsoka in the world between worlds with Anakin Skywalker. This is obviously going to be the talk of the Star Wars fandom for the next week. There's going to be a lot of speculation. Next week's episode, I think, is going to be so cool because Ahsoka presumably is going to be in the world between worlds. There's a lot of rumors on what goes on in the world between worlds. This soon after watching the episode, I just watched it and came in here and sat down. So I haven't had enough time to process where I think it's going, but it would make a whole lot of sense for Ahsoka to be in the world between worlds this entire next episode. Dave Filoni is directing it, so we know it's going to be very good. And if Anakin is just taking her around in this world between worlds and kind of explaining how things are and how things went, and she gets to learn everything, I don't know where they're going to go. I have a lot of hopes for it. I'm sure as I sit down and think about it, I'll have more ideas and maybe watch some other videos and catch other people's opinions. But next week's episode is must-watch TV for Star Wars fans. So drop it in the comments. Where do you think we're going next week with this cliffhanger with Anakin and Ahsoka being together in the world between worlds? So I don't really have much else to say about this because I just really need to process it. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, please don't forget to like this video. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet and you're enjoying this, please hit that subscribe button. I post Star Wars content daily, so I would definitely appreciate if you subscribed. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.